You've been fasting, skipping breakfast, drinking black coffee, watching the clock, and somehow you're still gaining fat. Maybe the scale moved, but you look softer, flatter, more tired. And the most frustrating part? You're doing exactly what everyone told you to do. So what's actually going wrong? That's exactly what this video is going to answer. Not partially, not vaguely, the full picture. 5 specific mistakes, the science behind each one, and exactly what to do instead. By the end of this video, you'll understand the entire system, and you'll never fast the same way again. Here's the truth nobody in the fasting space wants to say directly. Fasting done wrong doesn't just fail to burn fat. After 40, it actively accelerates the exact things you're trying to reverse. Muscle loss, a slower metabolism, more belly fat, more cortisol, and the harder you push, longer fasts, fewer calories, the worse it gets. This isn't a discipline problem. You have plenty of that. This is a biology problem, and it hits men over 40 harder than almost any other group because your hormonal environment has already shifted. Testosterone is lower. Cortisol is more reactive. Muscle is harder to hold on to. The margin for error is smaller than it was at 30. The version of fasting you were sold was designed for younger bodies. Eat in a window, lose fat, done. But your body in its 40s, 50s, and 60s is running on a completely different operating system. And the mistakes that are wrecking your results? They don't look like mistakes. They look like dedication. They look exactly like what you're already doing. There are 5 of them. We'll start with the foundational science. The simple thing most people miss, and build up from there, because each mistake we cover is going to hit harder than the last. Let's get into it. Here's the one thing you need to understand before anything else makes sense. Fasting was never about calories. It's about insulin. Every time you eat, anything at all, your body releases insulin. Insulin's job is to move nutrients into your cells. Necessary, essential, can't live without it. But when insulin is elevated, your fat cells are locked shut, physiologically locked. The fat isn't going anywhere. Insulin is actively blocking its release. And here's what makes this especially relevant for men over 40. Insulin sensitivity declines with age. Your body is releasing more insulin in response to the same foods than it did a decade ago. The lock is tighter. The key takes longer. And most men have no idea this is happening. Fasting drops insulin. That's the entire mechanism. When insulin falls low enough, your body finally unlocks stored fat and burns it for fuel. The eating window isn't a trend. It's a biological switch. But that switch can be completely broken by 5 specific mistakes. And we're going to go through each one. What it is, why it matters, and exactly how to fix it. Mistake number 1. And we'll start simple here, because this one is the foundation everything else is built on. You're breaking your fast with the wrong foods. You made it 16 hours. You're proud of yourself. And you should be. And then you open your eating window with a smoothie. Fruit, oat milk, maybe some granola because it looks healthy and feels like a reward. Insulin spikes immediately, hard and fast. The fat-burning state you just spent 16 hours building collapses in under 10 minutes. Science shows that the composition of your first meal matters just as much as the fast itself. Break your fast with protein and fat, eggs, meat, fish, full-fat dairy. These raise insulin slowly, allowing your metabolic state to transition properly instead of crashing back into storage mode the moment you open your mouth. That's mistake 1, foundational. Easy to fix. But the next one is where it gets more serious. Mistake number 2. And this one surprises most people because it looks like the right move. You're fasting too long before your body is ready. The logic feels almost undefeatable. If 16 hours works, 20 must be better. If 20 is good, 24 must be extraordinary. But here's what actually happens past a certain threshold, especially when you haven't built up gradually. Cortisol spikes. And cortisol is already your biggest enemy after 40. Chronically elevated cortisol breaks down muscle tissue for glucose, suppresses testosterone production, increases visceral fat storage around your organs and waist, and drives ravenous hunger the moment you break your fast. Scientists call the muscle breakdown process gluconeogenesis. You can think of it as your body quietly cannibalizing its own engine to keep the lights on. Research shows that up to 25% of weight lost during aggressive caloric restriction comes from lean muscle mass, not fat. For a man in his 50s or 60s already losing muscle to age-related sarcopenia, that's not just a setback, that's a compounding disaster. Losing muscle to look leaner is like burning your furniture to heat your house. Works for a day, then you're cold and you have nowhere to sit. The fix: keep your fasting window between 14 and 16 hours while establishing the habit. Hit your protein target, close to 1 gram per pound of body weight daily. Build duration slowly over weeks, not days. Now, the first 2 mistakes are important, but the next one is where most men's results are silently being stolen, and most of them never find out why. Here's something most people don't realize. The real reason fasting became a longevity tool has nothing to do with weight loss. Weight loss is a side effect. The actual prize, the thing that only a small percentage of people who fast ever reach, is autophagy. And this is where the science gets genuinely extraordinary. Around the 14 to 16 hour mark of a clean fast, your body activates a process of deep cellular repair. It identifies damaged, dysfunctional, worn-out cell components. Decades of biological debris accumulated from stress, processed food, poor sleep, and time itself, and systematically dismantles them. Recycles what's salvageable, destroys the rest. Think of it as your body finally getting the chance to clean house. Every cell, all at once. The kind of deep clean that is simply impossible when you're eating every 3 hours. The scientist who discovered this, Yoshinori Ohsumi, won the Nobel Prize in Physiology in 2016. This is not fringe science. This is established, peer-reviewed biology. And for men over 40, autophagy isn't optional. Cellular damage accumulates faster as you age. Autophagy is one of the primary mechanisms your body has to address it. But here's the brutal part. Most men who fast never actually reach it. And that's because of mistakes 3 and 4. Mistake number 3. This is the most consequential mistake for men over 40, and the impact is bigger than anything we've covered so far. You're not protecting your muscle while you fast. Fasting without actively preserving muscle mass is renovation through demolition. The scale moves. The structure underneath weakens. After 40, you're already fighting sarcopenia, the natural age-related muscle loss that begins declining roughly 1% per year. Aggressive fasting without resistance training and adequate protein accelerates that loss significantly. And here's why it matters beyond how you look. Muscle is your metabolic engine. It burns calories at rest, automatically, without you doing anything. Lose muscle through poorly structured fasting, and your resting metabolism drops, quietly, permanently, until you rebuild it. This is the hidden mechanism behind middle-age weight gain that nobody talks about. Not laziness, not overeating. Gradual, invisible muscle loss, slowly lowering your metabolic floor year after year. The fix has 2 parts, and neither one is optional. Resistance training at least twice a week, sending your body a clear survival signal that muscle is necessary. And protein, real protein, at every meal inside your eating window. These 2 things together tell your body to spare muscle and target fat. Without them, fasting takes muscle as readily as it takes fat. Now you know mistake 3, but the next one, mistake 4, is one almost everyone makes inside their eating window, and they have no idea it's destroying everything they've worked for. Mistake number 4. You're grazing inside your eating window. This one catches almost everyone because the logic seems reasonable. You did the 16 hours. You earned the window. So during those 8 hours, you eat when you're hungry. A meal here, a handful of nuts mid-afternoon, a protein bar before the window closes. Seems fine, right? Here's what's actually happening. Every single time you eat, even nuts, even a protein bar, even something small, insulin rises. Every time. And every time insulin rises, fat burning pauses and autophagy stops. Completely. You've technically kept the time window open while biologically destroying the benefit. The research is clear on this. 2 structured, deliberate meals within the eating window, with nothing between them, produces dramatically better fat oxidation, especially in men over 50. Not eating less, just eating less frequently inside the window. 1 structural change, massive difference in outcome. Drop your fasting window in the comments right now. How long have you been doing it, and what have you noticed? I want to know, because it tells me exactly which mistake might be quietly working against you. Now, fixing these 4 mistakes does something beyond burning fat. And this is the part most fasting videos never cover, because what happens next surprised even the men who were expecting results. Here's something most people don't see coming. You started fasting to lose fat, but when you fix the mistakes, your brain changes first. Around the same time autophagy activates, your brain begins producing elevated levels of BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Researchers sometimes call it miracle grow for your neurons. It accelerates new neural connections, strengthens memory, sharpens focus, and is being actively studied as a protective factor against Alzheimer's and cognitive decline. That mental sharpness men describe during a clean fast, that almost uncomfortable clarity that arrives around hour 14 or 15, that's not hunger delirium. That's your brain running on ketones in a high BDNF environment. It's what mental clarity is actually supposed to feel like. Many men over 50 report it's the first time in years they've felt that sharp before noon. Then the inflammation shifts. Correctly practiced fasting significantly reduces key inflammatory markers, IL-6 and CRP specifically. Chronic low-grade inflammation is the silent engine behind fatigue, joint pain, brain fog, heart disease, and accelerated aging. When you stop constantly triggering an insulin and immune response, your body stops constantly reacting and finally starts repairing. Men who've cracked this don't just look different, they move differently, they feel differently. Energy that they assumed was simply gone with age starts coming back. And authority in the research is consistent on this. It's not placebo. It's measurable biological change. And for men specifically, short-term fasting has been shown to elevate growth hormones substantially. Growth hormone protects muscle, drives fat metabolism, and plays a significant role in libido, drive, and overall vitality. The men getting extraordinary results from fasting at 55, 60, 65, this is part of what they're experiencing. It isn't gone, it was suppressed. There's a difference worth understanding. Now, a concern worth addressing directly. Won't fasting destroy muscle at our age? Done wrong? Absolutely yes. We covered that in mistake 3. Done right, the opposite is true. The fear comes from conflating fasting with starvation. They are not the same thing. Starvation is chronic, uncontrolled caloric deprivation with no protein and no physical stimulus. That destroys muscle. Structured fasting, 14 to 16 hours, adequate daily protein, resistance training twice a week, elevates growth hormone, triggers autophagy that clears dysfunctional mitochondria, and creates what researchers call a pulsing mTOR effect that may actually optimize muscle quality in older men better than constant feeding does. The men losing muscle while fasting are making mistakes 2 and 3. Fix those, and fasting becomes one of the most powerful muscle preservation tools available to men over 40. But there's one mistake left, and this one is the most overlooked of all 5. It's also the one with the biggest compounding impact on everything else. Pay attention here. Mistake number 5, and save this one, because after everything we've covered, this is the mistake that makes all the others worse. You're ignoring your total stress load. Fasting is a biological stressor, a beneficial one, but a stressor. And your body at 50 handles accumulated stress differently than it did at 25. If you're sleeping 6 hours a night, training hard 5 days a week, managing career pressure, family pressure, running on caffeine by 9 a.m., and then layering aggressive fasting on top of all of that, you are overdriving a system that's already running near capacity. Cortisol stays elevated, testosterone stays suppressed, fat burning stalls, and no matter how clean your eating window is, the results won't come. The fix is not complicated, but it requires honesty. Sleep 7 to 8 hours. Treat it as seriously as you treat the fast. Your cortisol doesn't fully reset without it. Testosterone doesn't recover without it. The entire hormonal environment that fasting is trying to optimize depends on it. Treat fasting as one precise tool inside a larger system, not the punishment you stack on top of everything else. Now here's the real conversation. You're not doing this to fit into last year's trousers. You made a decision, maybe at a doctor's appointment, maybe in front of a mirror, maybe just quietly one morning, that you weren't willing to accept the standard trajectory. The one where you slow down, the energy disappears, the body starts failing, and you manage it with prescriptions and hope. You rejected that, and the science is increasingly on your side. Men in their 60s reporting metabolic ages a decade younger. Inflammatory markers returning to youthful ranges. Cognitive sharpness they hadn't felt since their 30s. This is documented. This is real. And it is available to you. But only when the foundation is right. So here it is, clean and final. Protect your muscle. Protein at every meal. Resistance training twice a week. Non-negotiable. Respect the biological signal. 2 structured meals, no grazing. Break your fast with protein and fat, not fruit and oat milk. Manage your total stress. Sleep like your results depend on it, because they do. And build your fasting window slowly. Start at 14 hours, earn 16, then 18. Give your body the time to adapt properly. After 1 week of fixing these mistakes, you'll notice the mental clarity first. After 2 to 3 weeks, the energy shifts. After a month, the body composition starts reflecting what you've been working toward. This is the system. This is the full roadmap. You came here with one question. Why is fasting making me gain fat? And now you have every answer. If something in this video landed for you, if you recognized a mistake you've been making, hit the like button. It puts this information in front of men who've been doing everything right and still wondering why nothing is working. Subscribe if you want to keep going deeper into the real science. Not trends, not recycled advice, the actual mechanisms. And drop your fasting window in the comments. Tell me how long you've been at it and what you've noticed. That's where the real conversation happens. I'll see you in the next one.